We'll get more into the Guards and Cavs and Browns too with Scott Monday at 8 right here on Rock 106. Have a great weekend.
You too, buddy. Take care.
Always good to get into time this week to be good. I said yesterday, and I'm going to maintain, that if the season goes the way we want it to go, we're not talking about the backup quarterback at all.
He's a man of many talents, but he does not have the talent for keeping quiet.
The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show, Rock 106.9. I can let you know that starting, I believe, Monday, we'll have incarceration tickets for you. Festival season not that far off now.
There?
We'll get you guys hooked up all next
Took out the double door and
they wanted to run a study
picture
and figure
window.
out
They're gonna add another
the
booth.
worst time of the day. Different answers. I was kind of curious. And so these results have been published in the Digital Health. And it kind of, the results was I tried to get into this building at 5 a.m. On Fridays will be a little later than that, maybe some other days too, but that's the target goal. Alarm at 3 and I'm getting ready for work, and all of that. And I'm almost too busy at 5 a.m. to concern myself with whether or not I'm having a good time. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't really come across my radar for that. I was kind of curious how many people are dealing with 5 a.m. I mean, if you have to be at work at 6, probably, but if you have to be at work at 7, are you getting up that early? Some of you maybe. I know a lot of people, not a lot, but I mean, we found out 42% of people in this country are obese this morning. So I was going to say a lot of people work out before work, but let's be honest, not a lot. I mean, some do. And they say it's the best time to do it, actually, is early in the morning. So, that energy will carry you the rest of the day. I'd have to get up pretty early to make that part of my routine. Not that I couldn't, but I find that harder to do. I'd be curious. Now, Canton, I know this for sure. I've seen some data on you, where you work, how much money you make, how long it takes you to get to work. I've seen plenty of data on that. And it will tell us that Canton is an early rising city. It is. Compared to some other places close to us, some of your shifts are starting earlier. So what I'm saying about 5 a.m. and a lot of people not dealing with it, I could be way off base on that for you. Now, here's the other thing they found. 5 p.m. is when people are their happiest. Now, what I thought is, well, you got out of work, right? The work whistle blows. That whole thing, time to go, right? 5 o'clock world. But then, that thought process would lead us to, in about 5 minutes, you're going to be dealing with rush hour traffic. That's when people are at their happiest? I've been on 77 at 5:15. No, you're not. You're absolutely miserable. I was shocked by that. Now, a little dopamine hit release. Hey, I no longer have to be at this place, and I'd rather be stuck in my car with the idiot in front of me who won't drive fast enough versus dealing with my idiot boss. Okay. All right, I could understand that.
No,
I was a little shocked that 5 p.m. is when they're, you had to go to work, then you kind of had to deal with the family thing, and now, all right, it's kind of quiet, and now I get some me time. And I would have assumed that's what people thought. As a matter of fact, I walked down the hall. It's kind of like the best talking about yesterday. But that Benjamin Shapiro was the lead author of the study. What's continuous heart rate, your step count, sleep data, daily mood scores. Now this is where. But I have used an Apple Watch. I got one of those as a gift a few years ago. What I have found about, you can manipulate the health data on those things pretty easily. Activity. Or you could just go do the activity and have it count your steps. If I tell that thing I'm playing golf, those stats are through the roof when I get done playing golf. If I just go play golf and I have the watch on and it's just kind of, calculating on its own, those numbers are reduced by half, if not more. So, I can't speak to Fitbit, don't own one, but the data on those things is easily manipulated.
It's only 3:30 in the afternoon.
And so I'm curious what that would really mean. They say here, quote, we discovered that mood follows a rhythm connected to the body's internal clock. And the clock's influence increases as somebody stays awake longer. That's Danny Forger at University of Michigan Medical School. In conjunction with Fitbit, They also would ask students to rate their mood on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, I'm glad they brought that in, because I bet if I asked people at 5 a.m., how happy are you right now, they're going to go, suck it, right? Like, they're going to tell me, suck it, because 5 a.m. is very early for most of you. I want to stop right here selfishly to tell anybody who may know me personally that 9 o'clock at night is 5 o'clock in the morning for me. Like, so you gotta stop that stuff, right? Like, like sometimes people forget. I want to start calling people at 3 o'clock in the morning and be like, yeah, man, this is what 10 o'clock at night is for me. All right, so like, don't do that anymore. That happens a lot. They discovered that with time mood correlation, participants' moods would worsen the longer that they were awake as well. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. On a typical day, their mood at 5 a.m. will still be lower than it would be in the evening. Now, they said there wasn't a whole lot of information on how daylight savings time, how that impacts this. They say the study is not without its caveats, namely the team analyzed a fairly small sample in a laboratory setting. Again, it was about 3,000 people, and that is kind of small. They said that they did have a few outlier participants, and they stayed awake for more than 18 hours during the awake, and I don't think that's healthy. Like, American hustle culture has kind of done that now. I'm working 24/7, man. Look, all I do is work, man. All I do. And it's like, well, very few people can be at their best with a lack of sleep. Like, it's just not that many. Now, some jobs may require you to do it, right? And sometimes the expectations and the salary is high enough to where we don't care. We're paying you that stuff that doesn't matter at all, otherwise known as money. So you better do it, even though, I mean, we're giving you a thing that doesn't matter. So keep doing stuff, right? And so, you know, the expectations of certain jobs and certain things can be that 5 a.m. was people's happiest time. I would have thought for sure, this is just, you know, again, assuming, right, makes an ass out of you and me. I would have thought for sure it would have been 7 p.m.
The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9. You and I most recently have been talking about this study that came out that tells us that 5 a.m. is the worst time of the day for most people. Now, I was kind of shocked that many people were dealing with 5 a.m. I clearly do, as I try to get into the building at 5. Since my boss is in the sales bullpen listening right now, I won't lie and say I got here today at 5, because he can check that data. And I did not. I was a little later than that as the week goes on, probably later.
Their meats.
Monday, I'm normally here pretty early, you know, as the week progresses.
Next time we're going there.
Now, this data was mostly collected by Fitbit, and I said, look, I don't have a Fitbit, but I have an Apple Watch, and I have seen how easy it is to manipulate that health data on that. Again, if you press activity and you do that activity, it will triple those numbers. If you just do the activity while wearing the watch, none of that stuff gets tracked. So I think it's, you know what I mean? I wouldn't always rely on all of that data. Tim had said, look, man, according to the Fitbit I got last year, I'm getting less than 6 hours of sleep per night for this year so far. That's probably not great. Now, under 6 is probably not optimal. I used to have serious bouts of insomnia, waking up earlier in the morning, kind of stopped that for me. Now, conversely, what this study told us, and again, this had been published, I'm trying to scroll here, in the Digital Health Journal. It told us that 5 o'clock in the afternoon is when people were their happiest. And I said, well, the easy answer is, well, I just got out of work, right? So I'm done doing the thing I hate most, and so now, like, I got a little freedom. I said, but isn't that when you're running right into rush hour? Like, I can't imagine you're happy then. Now, you'd rather deal with the idiot in front of you driving than your boss. Okay, fair enough, right? Not all of you are lucky enough to love your boss as much as I do. Hi, buddy. Glad you're up listening. Glad you're in the building today. I'm kidding, but we do get along just fine. But I'm willing to bet that that's part of what that is. I thought it was happiest time of the day was going to be 7 o'clock at night. My theory was, all right, 5, you're at rush hour, you get home, have a little dinner with the kids, you pretend to understand the arithmetic that they got in their homework, send them off to bed, 90-day fiance now, and ice cream on the couch. I thought for sure that's what people were doing. But no, 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm so excited.
Is apparently people's happiest time of the day. Researchers doing the heavy lifting of, after work, people are happier. So 5 o'clock in the morning would not be my worst time of the day. Charlie says it is his. He has texted in 330-450-7625. Says, Stansberry, I wake up at 5 a.m. for work, and I can confirm. If they would have asked me, I would have told them this is getting out. Little hot cup of coffee. I think he's saying cigarettes here. You enjoy the peaceful, quietness of the morning. All right, so I wake up very early on the weekend, as I do during the week, right? Like I tell you all the time, 6 a.m. is sleeping in. If I sleep till 7, I wake up and go, oh my God, I slept the whole day. Like, it feels like I slept the whole day if I sleep till 7. I like keeping my schedule on Saturday and Sunday morning, too. And I agree with this text. That's some of my favorite time of the day. She's still sleeping. You wake up, you get the coffee. I maybe play a little Xbox, and I'm not being yelled at about the fact that that's what I'm doing yet. Or, you know what I mean? It's a very easy time for me to just be thinking
what in the New
about
York City
this coming
going
week
on here?
and
Everybody
what I want to get into on the program, which is all I'm ever really thinking about. And I like that time in the weekend. Quiet coffee by myself, clear my head. I love that. I'm not sure that's what most people are doing. I'm sure a lot of you are. Now, so many of you said, dude, are you forgetting kids are a thing? Like, plenty of parents are dealing with 5 a.m. They're getting their kids up. So quickly, I ran down to sales again, and I said, hey, man, you guys have kids and I don't because I'm a heathen. Like, what time do your kids start school? Now, the 3 people back there that told me they are getting their kids to school all said 7:55 or 8 a.m. I said, so what time are you waking your kids up? They said, you're normally in their bedroom around 6:30 to make sure they're up. So one of my sales guys, Dave, was there, and I said, hey, man, your kids are a little older. I bet you probably don't have to get on. He's like, no. He's like, you have to wake them up more now. He's like, they're teenagers. I was like, all right, fair enough. And I said, so 5 a.m. doesn't come into this at all. He goes, no, 5 a.m. is when the dog's licking my face telling me they got to go out and pee. I was like, okay, all right. So, like, I'm going to guess that that's probably not great, right? That you're probably not going to love that. You love the animal. You don't necessarily love what you have to do for the animal. As a guy who's thinking about getting a puppy, you had me thinking twice about it now. Although I've been looking around, I do want to get a puppy. So I've been asked here a couple of times, what's your worst time of the day? Since 5 a.m., isn't it? When is it? So I always tell you, I work twice a day. I'm working right now, and then I normally work later in the afternoon to prepare for the next day. This is the end result of my work. The work was done last night. This is the end result of it, right? And I know what you're thinking. Should have worked a little harder yesterday, buddy. So it's 6 o'clock at night for me is the worst. It's the absolute worst. I've been up all day. I'm really tired. I'm starting to drag ass. And like, that's when I got to sit down now and try to prepare the show for the next day. Because you can't get home at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The world hasn't flipped over yet. In that next 4 hours, so many stories are going to break. New information is going to come out. And so, you kind of prep 6 to 8, go to bed at 8. Then you wake up in the morning and, that's why I'm here at 5 is make sure I saw everything and we get ready and start the new day. So 6 o'clock feels like it kind of sucks. Because it comes around and I'm like, all right, I have to stop doing what I want to do now. And then I have to spend the last 2 hours I'm awake preparing for the next day. It's not the biggest problem in the world. And there's a reason why I never talk to you about it until this story comes up. Because let's be honest, I got it pretty good. But my least favorite hour of the day would be about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. If I could pick another, it's about 1 p.m. Again, been up all day. I haven't had lunch yet. No, man, I'll just go on my way. Sales normally putting in copy late, keeping me in the building longer. Oh, God damn it. Right, like normally, 1:30? I'm kind of nuts. Richard's telling me, dude, my kid's bus comes at 6:20. So she's up by 5:15. I am clearly up at 5 a.m. That's, his struggle with the parent. Okay, what I would say about parents is this. 5 a.m. would suck no matter what. But if you had to get up to make sure somebody else was getting up at 5 a.m., not even for you, that's going to make 5 a.m. that much worse.
Live from the Hall of Fame City. And just as bad as NFL officiating. The Stansberry Show on Rock 1069.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show. Starting Monday, I'll have those Incarceration Fest tickets for you. We'll get those passed out all next week. Looking forward to that. Pretty good lineup there. And I'll have tickets for you Monday through Friday next week. All right. We had been talking about the worst time of the day. Science tells us 5 a.m. is most people's worst time of the day. 5 p.m. is when they're at their happiest.
How much is this?
I get the just getting out of work thing, little happiness, right? A little dopamine release there, but then you're in rush hour and whatever. So we kind of got into that. Yeah, a lot of people said, well, of course, 5 a.m., man, I got the kids in school and all that stuff. And it's like, I haven't even really started my day yet. I'm kind of doing this for somebody else's day, right? And all that. Okay, fair. Could see all of it. And I just kind of casually mentioned that, I will ask some people in the building their opinions on some things I'm talking about, so I have a few extra opinions in my back pocket,
that
right?
to Dad.
And
That
I was
one,
telling you that my
you can give
one of my
to Dad.
sales guys, Dave, who I asked
I don't know
about
where it is
he was
anyway,
like,
so
5
he's
a.m.
got it
kind of when the
anyway.
dogs look in my face, and they want to go out.
Okay.
They got to go pee and all that. And I said, just casually, I said, man, I've kind of been thinking about getting a dog now that I bought my home, and I've been thinking about getting a puppy, and I want one, and I do, right? And I just kind of casually said it. So a few of you heard that, picked up on it, and I took some messages on it, including one from Zach, who said, hey man, you're thinking about getting a dog, huh? He said, I've listened to you for more than a couple of years now. I 100% would have thought you'd get along more with a cat. So I wrote back initially and I just said, I like them fine. I find dogs to be superior, but I like cats just fine. But I did ask him, I was like, why did you say that? Now again, I thought he meant one thing, but he meant another. And that's why I just asked versus going, dude, quit making fun of me, right? I just asked him. And he said, none of this is meant to be rude to you, Stansberry. He's like, but hear me out. It's like, cats have huge egos. They do it their way, no matter what you tell them. They're pretty low maintenance. And he says, super opinionated in how they act. I think that's a little bit of a weird term there, but I understand what it is you're meaning to say. They are also super chilled out and sweet to people that they know. From what I know about you, it just kind of sounds like a match made in heaven. It's not the worst take ever, Zach. I got to be honest with you. I don't know if I love it, but I don't know if it's a terrible take. What I will say is, much like a cat, you have to earn my affection. But if you do, I am very affectionate. This is true. When my brother and I owned the bar together, a bartender of ours, Catherine, summed David and I up perfectly. She said, you guys clearly have different fathers and there's different personalities. Here's the difference between you and your brother David. David likes absolutely nobody, but yet everybody thinks they are David's best friend.
Yeah, it's working.
Like that's his key to success, is that David is very good at making everybody believe they're best friend. You, Dan, have zero ability whatsoever to pretend to like somebody that you don't. But if you like somebody, you love them through and through. And that is true. That does separate David. That right there, I remember when she said it to us, I was like, damn, dude, she has you and I clocked, man. Like, she did. There's some truth in that. There is absolutely some truth in that I am not necessarily, I do the circle small, but if you're in, it's me and you until the end. I am the most loyal dude of all time once we're in, but that would be a dog quality, right? The loyalty thing. Now, I could say that the low maintenance end of pet ownership with a cat versus a dog is a lot more like me, maybe. That's probably more my style
I'm
there.
gonna back up and go off the road.
But I prefer dogs. I like them both. I prefer dogs. Also, I don't know why, but she has asked me never to tell you guys this because she's worried people are going to hate her, but she does not.
I can see down over the hill.
Like, not at all. Like, fingers made into a cross, get away from me type thing with the cat. Dogs, she's all about it. She loves them. So, you got to think about the other people in your life as well, even though we don't cohabitate. She spends a lot of time there. I spend a lot of time there, and you know what I mean? There's going to be that. So, my dog would be a big part of her life, or my animal, rather, would be a big part of her life. Now that we talked about this, I got to be honest, I don't know where to go get a dog. I know the Humane Society and stuff like that, but I know if you go to, like, the breeders and stuff like that, people get really upset, or the stores and people really get upset. People are going to ask me, and they already have started, what kind of dog are you looking for? So, honestly, it's in my head, I have it between a German Shepherd or a black lab is what I'd like. I've already got some names picked out. What I wanted to do initially was get 2 black labs, and I wanted to name them Motley and Maiden. Right? It's kind of, you know, Motley Crue and Iron Maiden there. So I wanted to get 1. I wanted to get 2 and name them Motley and Maiden. Was going to be my that was going to be my thing. Don't steal that. But now I kind of want to do it Kiss related. So I think I want to get a black lab and name him Stanley, maybe, or Freely.
And especially
I could see maybe Freely.
So
I thought about Demon, just going with the Gene, you know, moniker there. You know, I thought about Demon, but I am thinking about it. I'm circling it, and talking about it is usually what makes me end up doing things I've been thinking about. That's why I normally bring the subjects into you guys. So that's probably what I'm doing there, is kind of forcing myself into it there. I'm hearing from all the cat people, dude, what are you guys talking about? Cats are way better, way less maintenance, easier to handle, and all of this. Yeah, I think you're not wrong. I think that's part of the reason why I want the dog, is a little bit more of the responsibility. You know, I feel like Russell from Almost Famous. You know, the lead singer says, there's a responsibility here. And Russell says, that's interesting, because I thought we all got into this to avoid responsibility. And that's exactly how I felt about my life. And so I'm not necessarily as anti-responsibility as I once was, and I think a dog will definitely bring more of that.
Give Stansberry a piece of your mind. Use the talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app and let him know just how wrong he is. It's just wrong. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show. It's 330-450-7625 to text the studio, and plenty of you have. We've been talking about dogs. It all started, dude, this is what I love about this job, dude. You could be talking about one thing and then just casually say something inside that conversation, and that's kind of what catches wildfire. And I said, look, man, I'm just kind of thinking about getting a dog. And a listener said to me, goes, a dog, really? He's like, I just thought you would have been a cat person. And I wanted to be mad about this. I did. But, like, it's a pretty funny summary. He's like, I'm not trying to be rude to you. He's like, I love you. He's like, but cats have huge egos. Check. They do it their way no matter what you try to tell them or teach them. Check. Says they're low maintenance. I think this is where people would push back and be like, dude, I work with Stansberry. Trust me, the maintenance, it's pretty high on homie, right? And, you know, they're just kind of carefree in how they act. He goes, but they're also chilled out and sweet to people that they know. And from what I know about you, it kind of sounds like a match made in heaven. That is true. Like, I will shower you with the love and emotion if you're in the circle. So like a dog once you're in, but before you're in, very much like a cat. Want nothing. And I'll say this, I'm a little bit of a loner. That's a little bit true. That's always been true. I've always been the guy, and I think a lot of people would classify themselves as this person, so I don't think I'm alone here. But I've always been the guy, going all the way back to, you know, grade school, high school, all of it, where I had 6 groups of friends. And I never was really all locked in with any one of them. A couple of days with these guys, a couple of guys over there, yeah, maybe gonna hang out with them now and do this. And I still do it that way. I still do it that way. Now, this is bringing in another conversation. Mixing friends groups can be difficult. So it's like, all right, Saturday playing golf with these 4, and then 3 really, and then, you know, Sunday we'll play golf with these 3, right? It's kind of, and I do that, right? I can be a little lonerish. I don't have a problem being on my own, as it was my adult. It is a little bit cat-like, I would imagine, and I could see that about me. God, I got to tell you, not that I spend a lot of time thinking about the qualities of animals that I have.
That house is cool.
But the list of things about me that are cat-like I don't like about me, and the things that would be more dog-like I absolutely love about me. I like both animals, right? The better half is not a cat person. I once upon a time said, I was still in my apartment, and I said, well, I kind of want to get a dog, but I'm not allowed to have one here. And I was like, you're not supposed to have cats, but nobody's ever going to know. I was like, so I think I'm going to get one of those. And her face scrunched up like she sucked on a lemon. You know what I mean? She just, you know, next I was like, I'm going to get a cat. And then next thing I know, Jennifer looked like Renee Zellweger. I was like, why, dude, quit mangling up your face. Why? What's the problem? And she just was like, I'm not into those. She's just not a fan. right? And so since we're going to spend a lot of time together, it's like, all right, let's not necessarily do that. Now, I could just leave the cat at my house, go over there. There's a lot of that, but you know, I would like for it to be an easier mix. And I like both, but I do prefer dogs. And I'm getting now all of the recommendations on the type of dogs to get. Like Mark's telling me to get a Basset Hound. Very loyal they are, he says there, and they're good with kids and a lot of that, and they can be comical as well. And I would have to admit that that's part of the reason why I'm thinking about getting a dog, right? I have a little pressure for me to be a little more, and it's not really pressure. There's an insinuation from the company that occasionally I need to be a little bit more proactive social media-wise. And I got to admit, it's not my default position. I don't necessarily love it, but they're not wrong. And it's not the reason to do it, but I started thinking about icing on the cake reasons, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, the social impressions are going to go through the roof, right? And I was like, okay, you know, and I was like, so another check in the plus column. Not the reason to do it. I know animal people are going to be like, oh my God, media dude, and then the moment his Instagram fails, he's going to chop the head off of it. He's awful. I always knew it. Right? And like, that's not the reason to do it, but it would be a icing on the cake reason. Also, my job is pretty convenient with this. My boss would not care if I brought my puppy here every day. Oh, yeah. I'd have to get a second crate, obviously, but there are plenty of rooms in this building. I could just kind of tuck him in and be like, yo, man, I'll be back after Leonard Skinner and I'll take you out to pee, right? And I can kind of do that. And then when I'm done doing the shows, I have things I have to do after, but like it's kind of on my schedule at that point. If I wanted to run him home, put him in the house, and then come back and do stuff, could easily do that. Yeah, people are saying, do you got the names picked out already and stuff? Yeah, I do. I had mentioned Motley and Maiden. Somebody told me, like, dude, my cat's name is Motley. That's kind of awesome. I've had those names for those dogs for 15 years. If not long. And so like I say, a lot of times when I'm talking about stuff, I'm trying to push myself into doing, if I say, hey, I've been thinking about this. Normally when I bring it into the room, it's out there in the ether. People are like, yo man, when are you going to do that? And so then next thing you know, I end up doing it. So I think that's what I'm doing here, is kind of pushing myself into getting more comfortable with going to get a dog. Now Tony works right down the hallway here, and as soon as I hit break, he bursts through the door. He's like, puppy? Dan, what are we doing here? He's like, go get a 2-year-old dog. He's like, trust me, man. He's like, he's like, you know, we got kids, we've had plenty of dogs and this and that. He's like, we just got one not that long ago. He's like, puppies are going to make you pull your hair out. You know, 2 years old, a lot of the hard part's already been done. You can kind of handle that from there and kind of move on. Kind of sounds like me. I won't deny that. I kind of like the challenging part, but I like it in theory, right? Like once I actually start having to deal with it, that may be a different thing. So many of you have reached out and given me great opportunities or great places to maybe go and, you know, adopt a dog and, you know, where you guys got some of yours. I appreciate that because I did ask for some of that. So we'll see. I mean, it's not going to be something I do this weekend. Like I said, we were inside of another conversation and I just casually mentioned it. And then Zach had to call me out and be like, dude, you're a cat. I don't care what you say. You're a cat, man. And I honestly, I thought he was calling me a sissy. I really did. And so, like, I wanted to be like, you go to hell, right? But, like, I just asked him. I was like, why? And then he was like, well, the ego thing, right? Like, yeah, you know what? That does kind of sound like me just a little bit there. Man, you guys are sending me your pictures of your dogs. Dude, you guys are killing me, man. I feel like I got to get that Sarah McLachlan song queued up now.
Don't blame the station. We expected you to cancel him by now.
Well, my horoscope said that I shouldn't assume responsibility for anybody but myself.
The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
All I gotta say is it's Friday.
I need to get out and party. Woo! You know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby.
HPV goes on, dun, dun, and backwards, dun, dun, dun. Paul Stanley goes, oh yeah! And Peter Chris is going, dun, 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 crazily.
If you rob a store, you can fully expect to be shot.
You can't do stupid stuff.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
From
Oh no.
everybody in the group to bring your white friend.
And everybody help me save the cinder sprayer safe.
2 security guards to me for masturbating in the restroom. Something I did not do.
Oh, my man.
Melinda Brown Duckett, baby!
baby.
Chicken's done everyday people at churches, Popeyes, and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Hey, y'all salting me with the chicken.
Yo, we depict the thumbs up as a
Hold up. Wait a minute.
They just need to change that intersection a little bit.
Habitual homosexuals.
That always happens there.
By all means, take a hike.
You just get spit right out of him.
As long as I have the queer community that sees me for my truth, I'm gonna be okay.
Quebec.
We didn't have tornadoes here until we started putting into traffic circles.
Speed demons are a tyranny that's plaguing the streets of our city.
Because on the counter, you want to know why? When people go round and round in circles, it causes disturbance in the atmosphere and causes tornadoes.
We need more cops to stop those speed demons.
They're making it laws where you can't drink when you want to. You have to wear a seatbelt when you're driving. Pretty soon we're going to become this country.
Unbelievably stupid.
I might not be in the mood to deal with white shenanigans that day. That's all I'm saying.
We need to go back to like taking women out of the workforce.
Surround yourself with smart, talented people.
Well, you ain't seen nothing, my friend, until you have a flame coming out of your butthole, and you need an asbestos diaper to be able to keep that flame from burning a hole in your pants.
My wife had my weed in her purse, and the mother took it. It was only like 4 grams, but it was really good weed.
Yeah, man, you just an unlucky dude.
Don't hate on prostitution, because guess what? It's been going on since before humans, man, and you don't even know about it.
Now I'm going to wrap up.
I quit this bitch.
On a big station.
Rock 1069.
Bye.
We need to put women back in the kitchen.
Have a great Friday, you motherfucker.
Welcome back to the Stansbury Show on Rock 1069, online at WRQK.com, on your socials for you at The Stansbury Show. Nearing the end of the program now, I will remind you that Monday what I will have for you is Incarceration Fest tickets. Those tickets, we will be getting those passed out, and I look forward to doing that next week. Is that my phone? That is, sorry. I thought that was still the music bed playing behind me. It's my phone. Damn Instagram where you're running behind me. Sorry about that. So I will have Incarceration Fest tickets for you next week. We will start passing those out on Monday. We talked to Scott from winningfornextyear.com this morning. Now, we will do that again Monday. But there was so much stuff going on with the Browns, with Jerry Jeudy and Flacco now a Colt, and Deshaun Watson's blocking people on social media. And there was just a lot to get into there, so we crammed him into this morning, and we will get him back on the air Monday. One of the things I should talk to Scott about Monday, with him, is he's a big fan, and we haven't talked about this. He and I haven't. It's been on the show, but SummerSlam in Cleveland, Scott is a big wrestling fan, huge wrestling guy, and is a he's more of an expert on that than I am. So you know what? I'll ask him some SummerSlam stuff. We'll get that with Scott coming up Monday. This morning we talked about Flacco. We talked about Aaron Rodgers defending himself from what he's calling fake news about, a conspiracy theory that a CNN reporter says he has. Now, apparently he told her this 10 years ago. She never told anybody until 2 days ago. That part's a little like, I don't know about that. Right? I don't know about that. So if you missed any of those conversations, we do put the podcast up daily at WRQK.com. You can stop by there and grab that. Aside from that, done for the day, though. Not back live again until Monday. Stay safe out there. Be good to one another. Hopefully you have a nice weekend, and hopefully I run into you somewhere around town.
Vampire Weekend. Live across North America. Only God was above us tour. Get tickets now at livenation.com.
Love you.
Thursday's program on Rock 1069. Hopefully you have a decent afternoon, and hopefully I run into you somewhere around town.
Experience the butterfly life cycle with Insect Lure's Butterfly Garden. This all-in-one kit lets your child hold the wonder of metamorphosis in the palm of their hand. Head to insectlore.com to try this unforgettable experience. insectlore.com.
They need to do, and restaurants may do this because people don't understand that food costs when it just sits in the freezer. Oh my God, man! Like the margins on food, they don't make a ton of money every meal they sell you. They make most big businesses, by the way. The margins are very thin. It's just the amount of transaction, right? And so margins on food are, I mean, paper thin. Their POS systems tell you need to know. It'll tell you what's in your inventory. It'll tell you what you can just pull up your monthly report and be like, dude, we're selling. What are we doing here? And I think you're going to see more and more restaurants get thin like that, lean down like that, because they got to stay competitive. They're absolutely going to have to do that. This isn't necessarily the newest idea in the world either, right? Like, we've seen this with quick service restaurants where, and I loved this combination because I love both of these places. But there were, and I think we had one, did we not? A Taco Bell and Long John Silver's combo. I think we have one of those somewhere, right? Don't we have that? Those are kind of great. I think Long John Silver's is underrated. I'm a big fan. I wish I wouldn't have said it because now I want to go get it today, but I've been doing very well on my eating again, so let's not do it. But I love Long John Silver's, man. I can't get it. I liked Arthur Treacher's back in the day too. But we've seen plenty of those with Taco Bell split with that. And so if a quick service restaurant, we've seen it with some KFCs. Yum Brands, I think, is who owns that, right? That's that company. We've seen them do this with a little bit of that. If you've got picky eaters, combined restaurant is a bad idea. I'm not so sure it is. Right? Like, I want pancakes, but we want a burger. I mean, right? Like, when you're dealing with kids, it can be a little bit of like, well, he won't eat this, but she wants that, and she can't eat this, and they have an allergy over that. Like, that's, to me, versatility is going to be the key, I think, moving forward, right? And some of the offerings. And instead of, if you're going to close down some of your retail centers, and they're gonna, plenty of restaurants are closing multiple locations. Restaurant Hill up there in Akron suffer. I mean, the 3 places closed in the last month, I think, right? I mean, the Brown Derby just closed here. You know, I mean, like, more and more of these places are like, let's, you know, maybe shut it down, rebrand, we'll open up with something else, maybe lease the space to somebody else. Which the Brown Derby, as you know, as I'm thinking about it, I mean, I remember saying, my mom and I went there when she came into town because it makes her family, right? And so we went, and actually we had a great meal. Server. Thing was good. I read all the, you know, the comments the other day on the announcement that they were closing. Everybody was talking about how bad it was, and I was like, wow, we must have had a good day that day. Had pretty good service that day and all of that. We thought it was fine, but I remember saying after my mom left, I was like, talk about a restaurant that needs a rebrand. Like, if I took the average 19-year-old and said, why is this restaurant called the Brown Derby? Like, do you know? Like, why would they have called it that? They're not going to know that. For anybody that doesn't know, the Black Derby was what you wore if you were an elite. And that's what you wore out to fine dining. Brown Derbies were for the common guy. You know, you and me. And we would wear brown derbies. And so the Brown Derby was like, hey, commoner, come in here and get a meal fit for the elite. And that's what that's where the Brown Derby came from. But like I said, after my mom left, I was like, well, she wanted to go. I would have never thought. I mean, it's good. Steak was good. It was fine. Right? But like after she left, I was like, I wouldn't have maybe thought about going there. And as I was sitting in there, I was like, dude, talk about a place that needs a rebrand like nobody's business. Of course, 19-year-olds who are going out on their first date night or whatever, they're not going to think about this place. They don't even know what it is. They don't know what this means. Like right? Like this, that. I was like, they're dying for a rebrand. And sure enough, now apparently they shut that location down. I've heard what's going in there. I don't think you're going to hate it. You know what I mean? That might be all right. Let's not spoil plans for anybody. But I think the dual restaurant thing can work. Absolutely, I do. Now, where it's going to get tricky is if I'm wrong about how they're going to cover the cooking in the back room and the line cooks and all of that. I don't know if employees of these places are going to love it, but will customers enjoy the versatility? Yeah, I think they might.
You thought Stansbury was a mess on air? Check out the show's Facebook page at Stansbury Show. Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansbury Show. International Women's Day. We decided here it's a good opportunity to remind everybody how many great female artists there are out there. Plenty, man. Plenty. I just gave you this one. Pretend That We're Dead by L7. I talk about this a lot on the show, right? That music kind of takes you back. They're time machines. Songs, albums, they're time machines. And like, a song's probably been a big moment in multiple moments of your life, but then you can kind of trace it back, right? And L7, Pretend That We're Dead, is one of those for me. So I was a little too young to be where I was. I was in an apartment in Holly Park with my fake ID hanging out in Kent, and then we went back to this apartment, and I was hooking up with this girl. And we were on her couch in her living room. And she did that best thing that happens. You want to go to the bedroom? Yeah, let's do that. And so we left the music on, obviously, right? And we go into the bed, and we're, you know, doing our stuff and getting undressed and all that. And I heard this start, and I was like, and I'm a music head, man, so I was like, I don't know that. But man, do I like the way that sounds. And so like right in the middle of making out with her, I was like, what the hell is this? And she was like, what? And I was like, what song? What is that? And as she was taking off her Doc Martens, she was like, oh, you don't know L7? And I was like, I'm sorry, no, I don't know L7. And she was like, oh, no, that's Pretend That We're Dead by L7. And I was like, wow, all right, okay. I'm in. I think I'm an L7 fan now. But there's so many of these. Like, Mark reminded me of this one. How big was this song? Huge, right? Concrete Blonde, the name of the artist, for not to leave you hanging there. Pretty sure this is about her lesbian lover, right? But the song's called Joey, so everybody thought, not so much. It's hard to find out, like, how do we... 4 Non-Blondes is who I'm looking for in here, and I'm like, I don't know how we, like, list it in here. You know, if it's letter 4, or I don't know how that is, but, you know, What's Up? That song was massive, which, by the way, that lady has written so many hits for other people. Like, for anybody who hates songwriters, look up what Linda has written for other people. Oh my God, dude, it's a pretty long list. That lady was really, really talented from the 4 Non-Blondes. Pretty good there. We talked a little bit about Fleetwood Mac, or now most people for them, it's Stevie Nicks, and I get it. I really do. Like, Kelly's a daily listener of mine, and she wrote this in earlier. She goes, you know, she's like, Dan, I respect the hell out of you. She's like, but Stevie Nicks has the better voice, right? Like, all right, you know, okay, yeah, probably. I mean, she had the way bigger catalog, so yes, probably. And I said yesterday, I was like, I think Christine McVie's better, but I stopped and I said, you know what, let me say it more accurately. I prefer Christine McVie, but yeah, Stevie's probably bigger there. There's The Edge of 17, which I wanted to get in today. We didn't get time to get to it. There's, I mean, 10 years, maybe even a little. Sure, you didn't listen to NWA until you went home and started listening to NWA, right? And it's kind of how it was. We were all kind of in that, I don't want my friends to make fun of me for stuff I like. And people are still very much that way. That's why everybody lies and says they hate Nickelback as much as they do. Because everybody's still very much living underneath that, right? But I loved everything and got made fun of plenty about it as a kid and didn't care. I like sound. And so if it just sounds good to me and it sounds pleasant, I'm into it. I don't care who made it. You know what I mean? I guess I'll learn to care about an artist if I feel like they're talented, but like, oh, that's a female singer, so I automatically have to rule it out? Why? Because I'm that much of a man that I'm going to be threatened by a woman singer? That's how tough a man is? Okay, I guess. I mean, I think that's kind of how dumb an idiot is. if you ask me, but, you know, whatever. I'm just the bitch beta in here, you know, kind of doing my thing. So, you know, so many of these. Concrete Blonde was another one. Yeah, Veruca Salt. We may get them in here before the end of the day. It's just so hard because there's so many that I love. We've been talking about mixing the restaurants because apparently Applebee's and IHOP, who are owned by the same brand in the United States. And I said, yeah, bring it on. If you've got kids, and most of you do, variety is a huge thing, right? Well, we want to go here, but she doesn't like the Olive Garden. He loves this, and she doesn't like that. All right, I'll tell you what, Lisa, you pick tonight, your brother will pick on Thursday, right? And it's kind of one of those where I think this could end a lot of those problems. Now, can the back of a house, meaning, you know, the cooks and all of that, can you run? Now, they say, you know, it'll be a combined back of house, meaning, you know, the cooks and all that. And it'll be a little bit of a separation of front of house, but they say it'll be pretty fluid. Right? It's a double dead. You know, you got to wonder how they're going to react to that, and whether or not they'll be able to keep up with, you know, the quality.
It's dead already, and heat it again.
That, you know, for both. You know, a lot of restaurants are starting to do this because of the worker issue. That if you work for the brand, they may ask you to pick up shifts at another location. That's happening a lot more. I have some friends that are servers at some corporate restaurants, and they're starting to talk about it. They say, the staffing issues are a huge problem. And those of us that are working are making, honestly, some servers are making more money than they ever have. And I know it's not everybody. But they're like, they're asking us to pick up shifts at other locations. It's like, well, why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I? I'm here to make money. And that tipping thing's been back in the news again, and I said this to somebody yesterday, and they thought I was crazy. I was like, you won't believe how many tipped workers out there don't want tips to end. Now, I had unique serving situations, for sure I did. I was working venues, and people do those metalheads drink their faces off. And so, the tips were pretty good at the places.
Did you see that guy?
Right? But had they brought, $25 an hour minimum wage there and took tips away from me, I would have quit on the spot. I would have, honestly, you could have paid me $40 an hour then, and I would have said, I'm losing money. For sure I'm losing money. I'm walking out of here with way more money tonight than that. That's where that conversation's going to get real tricky. Is that some tip places, you're going to make more money than ever before, and if you actually start paying them $25 an hour, it's going to be a pay cut. Not all of them, I understand that. I'm not saying universally, I'm saying there's going to be a lot of them who are going to be like, oh, I don't know, dog. Let's not be doing that, right? I'm not a big fan of that. Did you see, by the way, Five Guys is back, in the crosshairs of the people because somebody shared their receipt there. It was $24. And they said, oh, something's got to give here. I'm going to remind everybody, I would gladly pay more if the corporate CEOs that ruin the world, if they would just pay their workers more. I would gladly pay more. I saw it.
Parker shot that drone video.
And then the industry did it.
It's beautiful.
And at the same time they did it, all the prices rose. And I don't see as often, I'm gladly paying more because my fellow man is making more money now. It's always easy to spend other people's money. Just do it, just do it, just do it. But it's not other people's money, it's yours. Going back to the servers, I've said this about bartenders. Every bartender in this city thinks they can run the bar they work at better than the owners running it. But the reason for that is because they're making all the decisions in their head with somebody else's cash. Just do this, buy new stools, just do that, just do this, increase this, buy more of that. Well, yeah. With the imaginary pile of cash that doesn't belong to me, I could do that. Once it's, well, if I do all that and I don't make my money back next month or we close, that's why a lot of those decisions end up not getting made. I can't tell you how many bartenders I've bartended with who were behind bars saying things like that, who then went and bought a bar together with 2-3 other bartenders. And you know what? They all run those bars now the way the bars we were working at were running. You know why? Because it's how you make money. And nobody goes into business to break even. Absolutely no one.
Like a wake and bake with an easy bake oven. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
All I gotta say,
which hospital that one?
I need to get out and party. Woo! You know where you
people are gonna be up.
You're in the jungle, baby.
HP goes on, and backwards, Paul Stanley goes, oh yeah, and Peter Chris is going crazily.
If you rob a store, you can fully expect to be shot.
You can't do stupid stuff. I am sober and rarely drink alcohol.
You need to ask permission from everybody in the group to bring your white friend.
And everybody help me save a single sprayer safe.
2 security guards framed me for masturbating in the restroom. Something I did not do.
Oh, my man. Melinda Brown Ducket, baby.
Chicken's done everyday people at churches, Popeyes, and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
He assaulted me with a chicken.
Yo, we depict the thumbs up as a
Hold on.
If he were habitual homosexual, then by all means,
I don't know where it's my.
take a hike.
You just get spit right out of him.
As long as I have the queer community that sees me for my truth, I'm gonna be okay.
Go back.
We didn't have tornadoes here until we started putting into traffic circles.
Speed demons are a tyranny that's plaguing the streets of our city.
Because on the count of, you want to know why? When people go round and round in circles, it causes disturbance in the atmosphere and causes tornadoes.
We need more